On November 4, 1979, a group of Iranian revolutionary students stormed the gates of the United States Embassy in Tehran. They viewed the takeover as retribution. For decades, the U.S. had interfered in Iranian politics, primarily by backing the nation's authoritarian monarch, the Shah. The Ayatollah Khomeini endorsed the takeover, calling the captives guests of the revolution. Suddenly, 66 American diplomats and citizens were hostages. For over 5 months, President Jimmy Carter tried to negotiate. He applied economic sanctions. He initiated back-channel talks. 166 days passed, and the captives remained locked inside. Back in the States, the public watched as their government appeared entirely powerless. With every failed negotiation, Carter's political standing weakened as the crisis dragged into a second year. With the captors refusing to budge and diplomatic avenues stalling, Carter authorized a high-stakes alternative, a covert military rescue mission called Operation Eagle Claw. The plan required perfect execution. 8 large Navy helicopters would fly low over the Iranian desert, completely undetected, to meet up with an elite Delta Force extraction team. Their rendezvous point was a remote patch of sand in the Dasht-e-Kavir desert. The military called it Desert 1. From this staging area, they would refuel, fly into Tehran, storm the embassy, extract the hostages, and vanish. But crossing into Iranian airspace, they hit a haboob, a towering, unexpected sandstorm stretching miles into the sky. The pilots were flying in absolute darkness. Their instruments failed, and navigation faltered. Because this was a covert infiltration, they couldn't turn on their lights. They couldn't break radio silence to coordinate. A surprising weather event became an impossible navigational trap. One helicopter suffered mechanical issues and had to turn back, then another. A third pilot became completely disoriented in the dark and aborted his flight. The mission mathematically required a minimum of 6 operational helicopters to extract everyone safely. By the time the fleet limped into Desert 1, only 5 functional aircraft remained. Colonel Charlie Beckwith, the commander of Delta Force, looked at his battered team, did the math, and made the hardest call a commander can make. He aborted the mission. As forces scrambled to leave, a helicopter moving through the choking dust clipped the wing of a C-130 plane. The collision ignited a massive fireball. 8 American service members died in the explosion. They didn't fall charging an enemy position. They died in the sand, trying to go home. The mission was undone by a combination of complex operational requirements and the raw chaos of the desert environment. The survivors had to evacuate immediately. They left behind the remains of their teammates, fully intact helicopters, and highly classified mission plans. Iranian officials paraded the charred wreckage in front of cameras. They read the secret documents aloud on state television to embarrass the United States. And the 52 hostages waiting in Tehran, they would spend another 266 days locked inside the embassy. The failure at Desert 1 became a defining symbol of an administration unable to resolve the crisis. For many voters, the images of American wreckage in the desert reinforced the perception of a presidency in decline. The final blow came down to timing. The Iranian government formally released the hostages just hours after Ronald Reagan took the oath of office, leaving Carter to watch from the sidelines. On January 20, 1981, the captives finally came home, ending a 444-day ordeal. But the disaster in the desert forced the military to look closely at what went wrong. The lack of inter-service communication and the rigid planning structure had to be addressed. To solve these structural flaws, the Pentagon created JSOC, the Joint Special Operations Command. They built a unified structure designed to integrate different military branches into a single, seamless command for high-stakes missions. Every error from the Iranian desert was studied and refined. Decades later, the specific tactical coordination and joint command structure developed here enabled the 2011 raid on bin Laden's compound in Pakistan. The capabilities of modern special operations were not born from a victory, but built directly upon the hard lessons